Welcome, everyone, to the Gridiron Review Podcast. I'm Zach, that's Jack, and we are glad to have you all here and are excited to be a part of your NFL all-season coverage. In this episode, we will be breaking down every team's situation heading into their off-season. We will be discussing cap space, draft position, and number of picks, as well as positives, neutrals, and negatives in regards to positional groups. And lastly, we will discuss free agent fits and top prospect fits, specifically in the first round for now. 15 is the insanely controversial Miami Dolphins and all of their drama that has unfolded. They do not have their first this year as they traded it to the Eagles, but they did pick up a first, I believe, from the 49ers. So they have a late first as compared to where their actual slot is at 15. They have the most cap space in the league this year with $64.7 million. And they have their key free agents of Emmanuel Ogbah, Will Fuller, pass, and Mike Gesicki. Their positives, their DB room is pretty strong, with the reports that a few of them, or specifically the reports that Xavier Howard wants to be traded, especially with Flores gone, it would become a bigger need. But as it stands right now, it is very strong. Neutral positions are quarterback. It could easily needs to be addressed after this season, but feels like they brought in McDonald to make Tua work or else. So we're going to keep it at neutral, although they definitely need a backup quarterback, a veteran. Wide receivers, Jalen Waddle broke the catches record for rookies, although if you watched it, it was more about forcing him the ball. Not to mean he's not a good receiver, but there's depth missing. Devontae Parker, while skilled, is hurt all the time. And their offensive line is okay, missing depth. Their D-line, they've got, I believe we said 2 out of the 3 starters with Raekwon Davis and Christian Wilkins. But with Ogbah, a free agent, they have a glaring need, and there's no depth on that defensive line whatsoever. So they need bodies. And their linebackers are okay. Again, they're missing depth. And I believe they're also missing an inside linebacker position with Landon Roberts, who wasn't even that good anyway. And they need to be addressed. Everybody that knows Miami knows their running back room is horrible. They averaged an awful yards per carry, and they need, at least one more player there, maybe even 2. And their tight end room without Mike Gesicki is just dreadful. Their free agent fits, while I personally, and I think Jack is as well, surprised that they did not re-sign Gesicki for some reason. We were discussing it, and maybe they go after Dalton Schultz, where he fits more of like a George Kittle type role. He's not as athletic, but he's a very good run blocker. And he's a good pass catcher, as Kittle is. So if McDonald brings that Shanahan offense, maybe they're thinking someone like Dalton Schultz fits better than Gesicki. We have them signing their veteran backup as Teddy Bridgewater or Andy Dalton, but my money's on Bridgewater. He's similar in ways to Tua. He's not the strongest arm. He's a quick throw. Every once in a while he makes a throw that it just makes you face palm. And we think they go after the best running back in the class of the free agency in Leonard Fournette. He's a power back with a lot of speed, and he can catch the ball if you need him. He just really would be a do-it-all back that they just do not have on the roster. As far as the draft goes, we have wide receiver and Quay Walker. Now, with them picking in the 49ers slot at 29, we're not sure which receivers will be there. Maybe someone like Jamison Williams, but he doesn't fit. We don't think he could fit, but this is a deep receiving room in the draft. So whoever's there, and maybe an end or a linebacker, as Quay Walker would suggest, to fill out the defense. And then we will continue on with pick 16. And Jack, please take this one.
Real quick, I believe you were saying McDonald and
McDaniel.
McDaniel.
Oh.
I don't know if you're a little hungry over there, but midnight munchies going on. So the Colts have pick 16 this year. They have about $37 million in cap, which ranks 7th. Their key free agents are left tackle Eric Fisher, T.Y. Hilton, Mark Lewinsky, and a bunch of depth pieces on both the defense and in the wide receiver room. This is another team with no first-round pick. How do you feel about yourselves? The Eagles now have Jalen Hurts, who, we're not going to get into that right now. But they have Jalen Hurts and 3 first-round picks, and you got a bag of chips. Congratulations. This team has one positive, and it's the running back room. Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines are arguably a top 3 running back duo in this league. I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are far and above the number 1, but I think everyone behind them is kind of up for debate. Jones and Dillon and Green Bay are up there, but the really big glaring need here is tight end, and I think Mo Alley-Cox is a guy that could develop. I mean, they've given him multiple years, and he's not what they're expecting him to be, so maybe he's just a tight end 2 the rest of his career, maybe a tight end 3. And then Kalen Granson, I've heard all these great things about him, that he was supposed to be a steal of the late round picks. However, we didn't see much of him this year. I mean, now granted, we probably haven't watched as many Colts games as other people have, but it just didn't seem like he had developed yet. Not to say that he won't, but it's definitely the biggest need. Everything else is just kind of like in between. Wentz, all jokes aside, probably isn't as bad as the Colts are making him out to be. I think it's more so the fact that you let him play the amount of snaps needed for the Eagles to steal your first round pick. But if you have to roll with him next year, I don't think it's an awful choice. I think he just needs more weapons around him, and you need to stick to the game plan. I mean, week 17, yeah, Carson Wentz really blew it for you against the team with the first overall pick. However, Taylor wasn't getting the carries that he should have been getting, and maybe they game planned for Taylor really well, but I'd rather trust Taylor to rip one off and get tackled in the backfield every once in a while than put the game in Wentz's hand, because even the year that Wentz took them to almost an undefeated regular season record, it was Ajayi and Blunt. I mean, Wentz really didn't carry the Eagles that year. And you saw it with Foles, is they continued to just kind of use the run game to get themselves through that playoff run. But everything else is either just depth issues or injury issues, but for the most part, fairly strong groups. In terms of how it'll be addressed, free agency, and I think me and Zach agree on this heavily. Dalton Schultz is the perfect landing spot for him. Really good run blocker, to Zach's point. Guy who can catch the ball as well. I mean, this offense with Schultz would have such potential. Just stick to the game plan. That's what you got to do. We don't think you bring back T.Y., although probably a Colts legend. I think he's out of gas. Maybe a team finds something for him, but he's not what he once was. We think that they probably, with no first round pick this year, double up in the free agent receivers. The 3 names we came up with are Chark, Michael Gallup, and Crowder. Chark may want to go in division, where obviously it's hard to speculate, but I'm sure he wants out of the circus. Gallup, a deep threat, not the speed that T.Y. has, but a bigger body guy, so a nice mix of a physicality with being a deep threat, and Jamison Crowder to be the slot. Michael Pittman is a big slot, but I don't think he's a guy you want playing the slot consistently. Crowder fills that spot very nicely. And maybe one of the mid linebackers to pair with Leonard and Okereke, Kaiser White, Jayon Brown, Rashaan Evans, Alex Anzalone. Any one of those guys could just be the third linebacker in that unit. And you are not going to be filling anything with the draft. Do you feel silly yet?